edit out a bunch of this. We're having a bit of a rough day. We're 4 months old and we're teething. So I just wanted to hop on and hopefully give a brief, I guess, introductory. I'll probably make a better video in the future, but we're going to talk about his birth story and about how Nevada was awesome when he was born and hopefully will stay so. But I was able to last minute hire a midwife, and I'm pretty lucky because most midwives don't do that. But I was planning to have a free birth, and after 12 hours of labor and some hours of pushing, I felt that I needed to have somebody check me out because I felt like I was hitting a wall, and I wanted some opinion on that. And he ended up being born 2 hours later. So just a brief introduction. I'm Rachel Reed. This is my son Xavier, and my husband's name is Aaron. We live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we were homeschooled. We grew up in a very broad group of people, very broad community. Homeschooling is actually pretty big here in Las Vegas and in the Henderson area, Las Vegas Valley. And my husband and I got married after dating for 5 years. We talked about home birth and our future and our children that we might have someday while we were dating. And home birth was always what I wanted to do. My mom has 10 kids. 8 of them were born at home. I'm the oldest, and I was not one of those born at home. I have been to 7 of her home births. I've been to a couple other home births as well. I always just felt like birth was a natural experience, and I feel like birthing is the most important thing that we do as humans, and everyone is born. And the thing with being born is that it's like a ceremony. It's an initiation to your community. It's an initiation to your family. And not only are babies born, but mothers are born when babies are born. So, and sometimes fathers. And a lot of different people. Indie Birth is one awesome community that has actually done some podcasts on this, which you should totally look it up if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I always wanted it to be very special, and I always wanted it to be very uninterrupted, and I always wanted my birth to be very much a family event with my husband there and with my mom there. And COVID happened while I was pregnant, and the concept of being in a mask in a hospital by myself made me very worrisome, and that is totally not what I wanted. I would have felt so just like the experience would have been stolen from me if I had to go to a hospital. So I looked into having a free birth and having a home birth, specifically a free birth, which is an unassisted birth, where it's very baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph style. And I always thought that was cool, so I was like, I'm going to try to do that, and I'm going to study this, and I'm going to get all of the supplies I needed. Hopefully. I got some flack for it from family and friends if I told a couple people that weren't really into it, which is fine. To each their own. I'm not saying that people should have free births. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a hospital birth. I'm saying that for me, I didn't want to do a hospital birth, and for me, I didn't want to be stressed out any more than I needed to be. Just another brief background is a couple years ago, I actually had a miscarriage. I never got confirmation really about like how many weeks I was or anything like that. I was kind of hiding from it, and everyone goes through hard times in their lives. That was one of mine, and it did affect me and this pregnancy with Xavier, because I was really afraid that I was going to lose him too, or that I didn't deserve him, or that I was unhealthy, or stuff like that. So for me, and a lot of people would probably do the opposite, but for me, I internalized and I went within. And I didn't want to get ultrasounds. I didn't want to see this baby. I didn't want to know more about this baby than basically the minimum, just in case I didn't get to keep that baby, because that would have in my mind, made it harder. Obviously it's hard regardless, but that's just what I felt I needed to do. So I didn't get any ultrasounds. I didn't know what I was having. He was a complete surprise. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that made it like way more interesting and special when he actually came and I saw him and he was real. I feel like that was just an added layer of realness to the first time mom situation. But anyway, I've always been very against the grain, I guess. And my mom was very crunchy. We had organic foods and we played outside more than played video games, and my mom used essential oils and stuff like that. So I was no stranger to home birth and to babies in general. So I was very much trusting of my instincts and my body in concern with having a baby and being pregnant. We had a rough first trimester. I'll probably make a whole video about that. I ended up just deciding I wanted a free birth. So with COVID and everything, it just kind of shoved it in there more of what I wanted to do. He was born on June 20th at like 1:40 in the afternoon. Labor started the day before around 11 a.m. But I didn't have contractions for like hours apart, and they were like nothing. They're like Charlie horses, which isn't nothing, but by comparison to having contractions that are more than a minute long and like 3 minutes apart, and then suddenly a minute long, 2 minutes apart, yeah, that was nothing. I lost my mucus plug around like 9 p.m. Keep in mind, that whole day I went and got a haircut, I went and got groceries, I was running around all over the place, I did a bunch of stuff. Labor wasn't what I expected it, but it was what I expected it. That's kind of a first time mom thing. All of my labor pains were in the front of my like sacrum area, in my lower, I don't even know what area that is, like kind of like my pubic bone area, like right above but below my belly button. All of it was there. It wasn't in my belly, it wasn't in my back, it was all right there. And I could feel a tug at what I now realize was my cervix for a long time, and I didn't realize what that was until later. But yeah, we were in labor for a long time. My contractions went from being several hours apart the day before to around midnight they were about 30 minutes apart, and then by 2 a.m. they were less than 30 minutes apart and a minute and a half long. And then around 4, they were a minute long and like 2 minutes apart, and it was horrible. So my husband was trying to sleep, and I woke him up and I told him to call my mom. I filled up a bathtub and was sitting in my bathtub thinking maybe I'd want to have my baby in there, but no, I hated it. And mom came shortly after. It's all kind of fuzzy. It's been getting better. Like I noticed right after I had him, it was kind of like blocked out, so I didn't post about it or talk about it until now. He's 4 months old now, but yeah, it progressed quick. It progressed way faster than I thought, and it was over 12 hours, but it didn't feel like that at all. My sister-in-law took photographs, and she came, I'm assuming around 6 a.m. She's so good, I didn't even know she was there. I was exhausted. When my contractions really started around midnight, I was like about to go to sleep, and my husband was already asleep. He fell asleep like as soon as his head hit the pillow, like most guys do. But yeah, I was exhausted. I was like falling asleep in the 30 seconds between the contraction ending to contraction starting, and it was pretty bad. And it wasn't bad like bad as in dangerous. It was bad as in kind of embarrassing, because I thought I was going to be way more powerhouse about it. I know now that I really needed to take like Bradley classes or something and work on my breathing, because I was screaming. I was instead of just breathe it out. I was freaking out. My husband still says that it's surprising to him that I didn't handle it better, which I had some emotional problems leading up to it. I've already touched on them. I was nervous about losing my baby in the first place, so I had some baggage going on. Like 2019 was crazy. 2020 is pretty bad, but 2019 for me was worse. So that being said, it was rocky labor. My birth was still awesome. I wouldn't trade it. is the best decision I feel like I could have made. But I didn't have a midwife. I didn't get ultrasounds. I was very shut off from external knowing, and I wanted to be internal with my baby and just kind of trust my body and be in the moment. And in the moment, I was thinking all these things. My brain was working at a normal ability. I'm a very visual person. I'm a very talkative person. I'm a Virgo. I'm very like meticulous. So my brain was working normal, but on the outside to everyone else, I just looked like I was struggling and having a hard time. And I kept saying, I can't. Like I was in transition. If you don't know what that is, it's a phase of labor. Go ahead and look it up. Everyone should know all of the details about this. Birth happens to everybody, so everyone should know about how it works. But most people that were there, my mom and my husband and my sister-in-law, were just assuming I was just being a person in labor. But in the moments, I was thinking about what I was feeling. I felt like I was hitting a brick wall around like 10, 11-ish. I had been pushing without like telling myself to push. That's one thing that a lot of people don't know about labor, is that it's not like the movies. You don't have to be told to push. A lot of the times, if you're just in labor, you're unmedicated, you didn't get an epidural, and you're just in tune with what's happening, because it's a lot of hormones happening. Your body is gonna do what it's gonna do. Hormones are going through and your body is shifting, and your body knows when to push. So I wasn't aware that I was really doing it, but I had been pushing for a while, and then I kind of sat back and was like, I've been pushing for a while and I feel resistance. I feel like I'm hitting a brick wall. I can feel my baby's head. I could feel my baby's head for weeks. And I could feel that it was trying to push down and get where it needed to be into the birth canal, but there was something in the way. Something was wrong. I thought that maybe I was just such a bad birther that I didn't know if I was even like dilated. I was fine, but that was a transition moment of being like, I don't even know, maybe I'm not even actually supposed to be in labor like this. Maybe I'm just so bad at this. So I was second guessing myself, and I was trying to check myself, and I couldn't check myself. Couldn't reach. I was in a lot of pain in the front, so I was hunching over and stuff like that. It wasn't good for me to be able to check myself. Around 11:30, I was talking to my mom in between contractions. I would get enough of a break to be able to get a few words out, and I was like, you know what? I don't know, do you think I should call someone? And Mom was awesome and supportive. Do you think you should call someone? Like, do you want to call someone? And I was like, yeah, I think I want to call someone. And she's like, well, who do you want to call? I know a lot of midwives. I know a lot of people. And I could have called a few different people, but I decided to call Corinne, who ended up being my midwife. I've known her since I was 6 years old. She was my mom's midwife a couple of times. My mom's first home birth midwife was Corinne, and I trust her. So I was like, yeah, let's call Corinne. She can come check me and see what's going on. And she came in. She watched me for a few contractions, and she was so nice. She was like, yeah, let's focus on this. How about you try this? And mainly it was my breathing, because I was kind of panicking. So she helped me with my breathing. She helped me get into different positions and try different positions and see if that helped at all. And then after that, she decided that she was going to check me. She asked me if she could, and I was like, yes, please do that. And she was able to see that I had a cervical lip, which now, okay, cool, that makes a lot of sense. I would have been able to know if I had that if I had been getting routine checks, which a lot of people do. I personally didn't want that, and this is part of how it goes for the repercussions of decisions I make, and I still wouldn't have gotten frequent checks. My next pregnancy, if I have another baby, is going to be focusing on some yoga, not sitting around as much. It's the thing with COVID that allowed me to just kind of lay around a lot, and that is a potential thing that can cause cervical lips, is being in the same position too long. In my labor, I needed to move around a little bit more. So that's just something I can take away and learn from for the next time, or share it here and then other people know and can look it up. But yeah, I had a cervical lip. She asked me what we wanted to do. I could have labored for more hours and it would have eventually just kind of sorted itself out. It would have been fine. But I was tired and I just wanted to have my baby already. So I told her, please hold it back, and then his head was able to get into the birth canal and then be able to crown and then be able to come out. So that's what we did. She held it back for me for a few contractions, and that was honestly the most relieving feeling ever. Aside from when his whole body was out. And then the placenta being out. But yeah, that was really awesome that she was able to come and help me and do that for me. I was seriously debating going to the hospital just because I was so tired and I was so done. And I just wanted to have my baby already, and I felt like I was not doing it right. If I had gone to the hospital, say I didn't call up a midwife, say a midwife couldn't have come to help me, I would have had to go to the hospital. I probably would have been in the hospital for a couple hours before he was born. So the same amount of time, if not more time, would have passed. They would have had to do tests. They would have been asking for a blood test. They would have been asking me all these questions, and I wouldn't have been able to answer them because I was in the state I was in. And my husband, bless him, but he probably wouldn't have known the answers to all the questions. I might have not even known the answers to all the questions. And that would have been a bit of a train wreck, and it would have been a COVID birth, and I just really wanted to have a home birth, and I just really wanted to feel not anxious about COVID, and I wanted to feel safe in my home, and I wanted to be with my husband and be with my mom and be in my birth space that I set up and made cute and have pictures of it. So I wanted that, and I went for it, and everyone should be able to at least go for what they want. So yeah, I ended up having him at home. He was born a couple hours after Corinne showed up, and he helped me with the lip. Yeah, you were born. You were born. He was born perfectly fine. He had some nice molding going on. I'll probably try to insert a couple pictures from his birth. Yeah. Yes. And we were so happy to see you. When you were born, you were making all sorts of noises. Head was out and you were making little grunty noises. Yeah. He was 7 pounds 13 ounces. He was 20.5 inches long. My mom was there. His auntie Cassia was there. His dad was there, and Corinne was there. Of course I was there. But yeah, that's how it went. And in some states you can't have a home birth with a midwife attending you if she's licensed, because you didn't choose to have ultrasounds. You can't if you go over a certain amount of hours in labor. You can't if you're over 36 or under 18, or over 35 if you're 36. In some states, if you have breech baby, you can't have a baby at home. Most of these things, if not all of these things, are proven fine. Like, a lot of people have their babies at home over 35 and have zero problems, have the healthiest babies that they could have. A lot of people don't have ultrasounds. Almost all of your grandparents, and definitely all of your great-grandparents, did not have ultrasounds, and their babies came out okay. So I guess my point is just that I think that birth isn't a medical event unless it becomes a medical emergency, be it for a lot of different things. But if you're bleeding out before your baby's born, that's kind of a big deal. If the mom passes out and doesn't regain consciousness, that's a medical emergency. If the baby's heart stops beating, that's a medical emergency. Stuff like that. If you study about birth and the physiological occurrences, and you're a mom and you don't feel watched, you don't feel unsafe, you don't feel that you're being pressured into doing it differently than what you want to do, you'll probably have a super awesome, great, safe birth wherever you are. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have home births. I'm not saying people should have home births. I'm not saying people shouldn't have hospital births. I'm not saying people should. People say my body, my choice. Well, you know what? It's my body, my choice. My baby, my choice. My birth, my choice. So, yeah. And there are responsibilities that come with that. Like I said, like, I didn't have the smoothest birth because I just didn't. And there were things I could have done to maybe know ahead of time, and maybe it would have been a little bit easier. But now I get to learn from it, and now I get to share it and hopefully help other people learn before they have to experience that. And that's great. I was lucky enough to have someone who loved me Corinne and was willing to come help me out last minute. Kind of worked out great because of the timing. But yeah, there's no one way. Every birth is different. Everyone is different. But humans aren't made broken. Humans, specifically women, are there to have babies, and there are a lot of people who make money off of women feeling that they can't do things, off of women feeling that they're not enough. And there are some people who need a little help, and that's fine. There's no shame in that. But we're not broken. You are kick-ass, and you're awesome, and you can totally have a baby. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not easy, but it's doable. And in my state, there are no illegal midwives currently. We hope to keep it that way. Me and my community. I'm sharing my story to hopefully shed some light on how midwives are awesome. I want to encourage you to, if you're pregnant or if you're a woman or if you ever want to have a baby, I think everyone should, but really, to the people who want to think about it, I encourage you to look into Bradley method, and I encourage you to look up indie birth, and I encourage you to look up labor, the stages of labor, the physiological relationship between mama and baby, and being undisturbed from pregnancy to postpartum. Look all this stuff up. There's so much to learn about it. It's sad that we aren't taught these things just normally, but there's a lot to go into it, and there's a lot of great things to learn. I encourage you to look up your birth laws in your state. I encourage you to voice your opinions about your parental rights. I encourage you to look up liberty. I encourage you to take personal ownership of yourself and truly be free. To be free and to be a free American requires you to take responsibility for yourself, and it requires you to make the hard choices. But make them. You are the only person who can make the right choices for yourself and the right choices for your baby, because it's your baby and it's your body and it's your experience. If you would like to and you live in Nevada, please join us on our Facebook group, NFOM, Nevada Friends of Midwives. It's a public group. We also have a Facebook page. It's Nevada Friends of Midwives. We also have Instagram, and it's NV Friends of Midwives. I'm saying we because I run the Facebook page and the Instagram. We're just a community of moms and midwives and friends who want to keep Nevada free and want to keep Nevada state out of birth, because Nevada's awesome as it is. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too abrupt. I'm gonna make more videos hopefully and share the little tidbits of things I know and little tidbits about our life, and I hopefully won't be boring and too annoying. In the least, my baby's cute, so it was nice to introduce myself and share my story. You can totally subscribe and leave a comment if you have any questions or commentary in general just to give. I want to make a community on YouTube and social media and connect with people who are in a similar time of life with me, or are inspired by the choices that I'm advocating for, or just chat, you know? I feel like people need to do that more and not just talk to each other and like each other's posts, but like actually have conversations. So hopefully this video will incite some, negative or positive, and we'll see you soon in another video. Thank you so much. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Let's turn it off. Say bye-bye.